Welcome to our YouTube channel, Best English Trainer. In this video, we'll be discussing the basics of English grammar. Let's see the first sentence. Okay, so what is a sentence now? A sentence is a group of words arranged in a meaningful order. Now, what is this meaningful order? So the meaningful order would be something like this. For example, subject plus verb plus objective. Okay, that's all together SVO, subject plus verb plus objective. We are generally calling it as a sentence. That would be a meaningful sentence. We can also form a sentence in other pattern also. For example, we have objective plus verb plus subject. Let's see a small example for this. Okay, for example, I said she eats an apple. For this particular sentence, we need to write in the O plus V plus S format. Okay, for example, I said an apple is eaten by her. Now, generally here, this is the subject. Next here we have verb over here, and this is altogether objective. Now in here, we have the objective here. Next we have the verb here, and altogether the subject over there. That is how we generally write SVO or OVS concept. Now what is this SVO? SVO is very simply, it's in active voice. Now what is this OVS? OVS is nothing but it's in the passive voice over there. Okay, that is how the subject can be or the sentence can be made. So sentence should be in a meaningful order. Now we have the SVO over there. That is altogether subject plus verb plus objective. Now what is subject over there? Let's understand it. So subject, here we have the first person, second person, third person. Here we have singular, and also we have here plural over there. Okay, let's write down the first person singular, that is altogether I. The first person plural is we. Second person singular is you, and second person plural is again you over there. And the third person plural is he, she, it. And the third person plural is altogether they. Now we have he, she, it, and they over there. For example, I said here Ramu. I said Alex. Now Ramu and Alex can also be the third person singular over there. Now, for example, how to write the plural for this particular third person? For example, I said dog. Dog is singular, third person singular, and for this I have added S, dogs. Now it has become into the plural subject over there. For example, I said cats. Now cats is also the plural subject. Now in that fashion, we'll be adding S. We'll make that into plural subjects over there. Okay, this is the subject over there. Who is subject now? Subject is the person who does the work. That particular person, we generally call him as the subject over there. Now let's look into the verb. Now what is verb? Verb is generally any work that is being done in a sentence. So generally, verb is generally considered as the heart of a sentence. From where this word has been originated. In the Latin language, we have a word called as verbum. Verbum means an important point of a sentence. Okay, that is the verb. This verb can be divided into two aspects. The first division is auxiliary verb, and the second division is the main verb. Now, this auxiliary verb is again divided into two divisions. The first division is primary auxiliary verb, and the second division is altogether the modal auxiliary verb. Let's look into the primary auxiliary verb. This primary auxiliary verb is again divided into the be forms, do forms, and have forms. Let's look into the be forms in the present tense. That's altogether am, is, are. Be forms pertaining to the past tense. There is altogether was or were. Be forms pertaining to the future tense, that is will be or shall be. Next we have do forms. Do forms pertaining to the present tense, that is do or does. Next we have the past tense, that is altogether did, and for future tense we don't have any do forms over there. Now let's look into the have forms. That's for the present tense. We have and has. Next, for past tense, we have altogether had over here. And for the future tense, we have, that's altogether will have or shall have. Where do we use these be forms pertaining to the present tense? That is am, is, or in the present continuous tense. Now, where do we use this Be forms pertaining to the past tense, that is was or were, past continuous tense. Now, be forms pertaining to future tense, that is will be or shall be, will be used in the future continuous tense. Now, in the same fashion, we have in the present tense, do or does, that is the simple present tense. Next, we have did, that is simple past tense, and for the future, we don't have any do forms over there. Now, at the same time, we have the have forms over here. Now, generally, if you see, have or has would be a part of the present perfect tense. Next, we have forms, that is had form, a part of the past perfect tense. Next, we have will have or shall have, that would be a part of the future perfect tense altogether. So this is how the tenses can be solved very easily just by memorizing this particular table of form. Now, generally, this table of form is sufficient for memorizing the entire tenses. Let's look into the modal auxiliary verbs. Now, what are these modal auxiliary verbs? Modal auxiliary verbs will generally give us access to the permission, possibility, ability, probability, advice, etc. So generally, the modal auxiliary verbs are not that important when compared to the primary auxiliary verbs. For example, we have will, would, shall, should, may, might, can, could. Next, must, ought to. Okay, so these can be generally considered as the modal auxiliary verbs. And here if you see, will, shall, may, can would be a part of the present tense. Now would, should, might, could would be a part of the past tense over there. We have used to, dare, and need. Now these three words are generally considered as the marginal auxiliary verbs. Okay, so will, would, shall, should, may, might, can, could, must, ought to. Until there we generally consider them as the modal auxiliary verbs. And next we have used to, dare, and need. Generally we consider them as the marginal auxiliary verbs over there. Now this can be something regarding the modal auxiliary verbs. Now we will make a dedicated video on the modal auxiliary verb in detail. Let's look into the main verb. Now what is this main verb? Main verb can be generally considered as the lexical verb, or we can also call it as ordinary verb. Now what is this main verb? That's all together V1, V2, V3, V4 and V5. Okay. Let's look into the lexical verb or main verb or ordinary verb. So just look over here. So we have the present form, past form, past participle, present participle, or singular form or S or ES form. So generally, the present form can also be called as the V1. Here we have the past form, that is V2. The past participle, that is altogether V3, and present participle, that is V4. And altogether, the singular form, that is altogether V5 over here. Generally, if we see this main verb or lexical verb, let's look into some of the words. Arise, arose, arisen, arising, arises. Now, arise, where do we use this present form? The present form is used in the simple present tense for plural subjects. Exceptional case, I. So, V1 would be used in two cases. That's altogether simple future tense, and the second one is altogether simple present tense for the plural subjects, and exceptional case is I over there. Now, we have the V2, that's altogether the past form. Now, where do we use this V2? We'll use this V2 in the simple past tense. Okay. Next, we have the past participle. Now, where do we use this? This is used in all the perfect tenses. For example, the present perfect tense, past perfect tense, future perfect tense. These are the three subtenses where we'll be using the past participle. Next, we have the present participle. Now, where do we use this present participle? This present participle is used in 6 subtenses. Out of 12 subtenses, in 6 areas, we are using present participle, that is V4. Now, where do we use this? Present continuous tense, past continuous tense, future continuous tense, present perfect continuous tense, past perfect continuous tense, and future perfect continuous tense. These are the 6 areas where we'll be using the present participle over there. Okay. Now here we are using at 3 areas, here we are using at 6 areas. We have the V5, that is altogether the singular form or S or ES form. Now where do we use this? This verb form we generally use at simple present tense, the singular subjects. For example, he, she, it plus V1 S or ES. Okay? Yes. Now let's look into the words. Arise, arose, arisen, arising, arises. Next we have do, did, done, doing, does. Next we have, had, having, has. Next we have read, reading, reads. Okay, but spelling wise it is read, but as the tense or the verb form changes, we need to pronounce it different. For example, it's read, read, reading, reads. Now see this one, be, was or were, V2, been, V3, being, V4, and is or was at V5. Okay, now extremely important examination point of view, do, this one and even this one also. Okay, these are extremely important as far as competitive exams are concerned. Okay, now see the next one. Burst, V1, burst, V2, burst, V3, bursting, V4, burst, V5. So some people write it as burst, bursted, bursted, but there's no bursted, but it's all together burst. Next we have hurt, hurting, hurts. Okay, so this is how we need to go with the, okay, but here you need to carefully remember do verb form, have verb form and be verb form. And at the same time, try to remember the past participle. V3 is all called as past participle and V4 is called as the present participle, because questions would be asked as identify the present participle in the given example or given passage, something like that. Okay, now present participle, what is that? It's altogether V4. For example, if they say past participle, what is that? It's altogether V3. Okay, so this is how the basics of English can be taken. So if you like this video, just like the video, and if you think this content will be helpful to your friends, please share it with your friends.